is the most beautiful racetrack in America, hands down.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the breeding stock sale. Book one. Good to have you back with us.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Friday night show as we preview Saturday, October 29th on the Keeneland Look Ahead. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now. Great to be with you for the 17th time on this fall meet. It's the night before closing day. And of course, we'll be back at Keeneland for Breeders' Cup for a special 2 days of World Championship racing on the 4th and 5th. We will have Keeneland Look Ahead previews for those days. So follow along on all these same channels that you were following our action throughout the course of this meet. So we're looking forward to being with you, not only for closing day as we preview it tonight, but again, in about a week's time, we will be back on Thursday night to preview Breeders' Cup Friday, and then we'll be here on Friday night next week to preview Breeders' Cup Saturday, wrap up what we saw on the racetrack, and look ahead to that big Saturday of championship events. Flightline and all the superstars are getting set to converge at Keeneland, many of them already on the grounds. Entries for Breeders' Cup will be taken on Monday at Rupp Arena, the legendary arena in downtown Lexington, home of the Kentucky Wildcats and so many big events throughout the city over the years. So Rupp Arena will be the home of the post position draw on Monday. After that, we'll know all the fields, we'll know the morning lines, we'll know the post positions for all the horses, and then we can get into some really serious handicapping of the Breeders' Cup. But pre-entry past performances are already printed. Got a stack of them here. I think this is what it looks like in the preparation department for the Breeders' Cup. We're getting set like everybody else, starting to handicap these 14 races. I'm not quite there on many of them yet, starting to fill out my thought process, but really the focus is on Keeneland here for Saturday. And then we'll pivot on Sunday. We'll watch a couple races from Churchill, watch a little football, spend some family time, maybe get some of the yard work done I haven't done in the last 4 weeks. But then we'll get into handicapping some Breeders' Cup in real sincerity come Sunday. So we'll have some good opinions lined up for you next week. Good day today with the handicapper selections. We told you last night, we thought we liked the back half of the card pretty well last night. Remember, our key plays of the day were in races 8, 9, and 10. 6 wins in the last 7 races on top. So it worked out well. We were right. We didn't have much feel for the beginning part of the card, but then things turned on really well. So a good handicapping day, good feel for the stakes races. That's kind of been a theme for the meet. The stakes handicapping has been pretty solid. So that's good as we get to this closing day card on Sunday, or on Saturday, I should say, when we are going to have 3 stakes races on the program. The Bowman Mill will be for the 2-year-old sprinters. We're going to have the Bryan Station for the 3-year-olds on turf. And then the biggest one, the Fayette Stakes for the handicap division, the older males on the main track going to Mountain 8th. That will be the 9th race on the card. Good handicapping day today. Also, good news to report. We've clinched a positive ROI for the meet. Coming into closing day, we are up $42.02 for the meet. If you bet $2 to win on every one of our top picks in the Keeneland Handicapper Selectors Box all season long, you're up $42.02. They can only take 20 from us tomorrow at the worst case scenario if we look at the ROI situation. So we're guaranteed to show a profit for the meet. It's not easy to do. I've been doing this for 17 years now. I don't have the total number of profitable meets, but I know that there are more unprofitable meets for any public handicapper than there are profitable for sure. You know, you try to hit that ROI like around $1.80, that kind of thing like that. We're well up over $2 now for the meet, and we had just such a huge spring meet that this is 2 in a row now that we've been really successful, and it's the second meet that we've done these Keeneland Look Ahead programs. And I gotta be honest, I think it's helped my handicapping because it kind of keeps me dialed in. I'm always handicapping ahead for Keeneland because just of deadlines and things that you have to do for various publications that they do, the websites and all that sort of thing like that, printable materials. So you're always working ahead, but I think there's an accountability and a factor of really being a little more analytical the way we're doing this each night before, that's setting us up not only for the next day, but the day after and the day after and the day after. And so hopefully you, several thousand of you every single day are watching this podcast. So I'm flattered by that. And hopefully it's helping you as well, because I know personally it's helped me as a handicapper at Keeneland. 2 meets ago, it was not that case. Last fall, I was about done. I could not pick a winner to save my life. Had a stretch where I lost, I believe, 34 races in a row. I kept asking my wife, how the hell is this even happening? How could somebody lose 34 races in a row if you're just even throwing darts? So it happens. That was the fall of 21. But again, spring of 22 was a massive meet. Fall of 22 is a very good meet again. So I'm going to give a little credit to these podcasts and sharing with you each night, forcing me to kind of keep the analytics going throughout the entire meet with no let up at all. And so let's get to the closing day card and the big picture for Saturday's action at Keeneland. There's a 10 race program with the 3 stakes races. We mentioned that goes races 6, 8, and 9. The Bowman Mill is the 8th, then of course, or the 6th, the first of the stakes races. Then the 8th will be the Bryan Station, and the 9th will be the Fayette. Now, again, we've got pick 5s that don't overlap with the 10 race format. So pick 5 starts in race number 1. The late pick 5 will start in race number 6. Pick 4 start in the second race and also the 7th. So races 2 through 5 are pick 4, and then races 7 through 10, final 4 on the card, pick 4 as well. Keeneland Turf pick 3 will be offered on closing day. Races 5, 8, and 10 are the Keeneland Turf pick 3 races. Now, yesterday we talked about how much we loved the back half of the card. I got a little bit of love for the front half of the card on this Saturday program, just the way that it happens to work out. But I think we've got a nice price to attack in race number 2. And I think we've got some confident horses in races 4 and 5. So if we can get a price in race 2 and we can narrow in races 4 and 5, you see, because this is why we do the big picture. Look what starts in race number 2. You got a pick 4 right there that ends in race number 5. So we've got a price in 2 and confidence in 4 and 5. All we got to do is get by leg 3 in terms of, our handicapping where there could be a little uncertainty. And that's what you want. You want a little uncertainty in a pick 4 wager to get a nice price. So the early pick 4 is attractive to me on this Saturday card. My other key plays, I think, like I mentioned at the top, we've been doing very well handicapping in the stakes ranks. Nice $11 winner in the stakes today in the Valley View. Of course, we had the other stakes winner for Brad Cox that everybody seemed to have in the Myrtlewood Stakes, but we've done well with the stakes handicapping this meet. And I feel good about the stakes. So let's capitalize on that. They're in races 6, 8, and 9. And again, we look at the big picture. Races 6, 8, and 9 are all part of the late pick 5. They're stakes races. So you got to like that. This is the late pick 5 that sets up pretty nice. And as far as long shots go, we're always trying to find a price player. That's what it's all about for me. Not about playing a lot of short price horses, but we've got a price player in race number 7 that comes up in a little form cycle handicapping. Second off the layoff, has run well second off the layoff in the past. So let's see if we can't connect with that price. We'll tell you who it is in race number 3 in just a moment. To the handicapper selectors box we go next. As is the custom here on the Keeneland Look Ahead, you can download and print this, a printable version available at Keeneland.com with the handicapper selectors box. Be sure to check that out for closing day and also for Breeders' Cup Day. All of our public handicappers will have their Breeders' Cup thoughts up there as well. So when you want to play the championships on the 4th and 5th, you can get our top 3 picks in the races as well. I'll also have a blog in the blog section at Keeneland.com for Breeders' Cup, where we'll put some information in there. And of course, we'd love to have you at Horse Player Now with our Buzz Report that'll be available for Breeders' Cup Day. Myself, Jason Blewett, the longtime NYRA and Gulfstream handicapper, Jason well, and Terry Terrell from Southern California, one of the longest tenured public handicappers in California. Myself, Jason, and Terry, we tackle the nation each week in the Buzz Report, and we'll have a good Breeders' Cup product to put out for you as well if you want to check that out at horseplayernow.com. Let's go to handicapping now on this Saturday card at Keeneland. See if we can't keep the hot streak rolling. We've got 6 winners in the last 7 races after the momentum for today. We start off with Jones Way as the top choice in race number 1. This one's for trainer Carlos Silva, who's only had limited starters at this meet, but they've run very well. 2 wins and a second from his first 3 that he brought to Keeneland. And Carlos Silva's got this one from Indiana Grand off a prep at Hawthorne, not a prep at Hawthorne, but a last race at Hawthorne, and a good effort in that one. We're going to need to see a little bit more speed out of Jones Way. The profile here is you don't want to be too far off of it. So this is a closer, but I think the class and the competition that Jones Way has taken on has just been better than these. And I think first time over the Keeneland track, you got a Cairo Prince filly. The Cairo Prince has run really well here at Keeneland. So I think there's a pedigree to like it. But let's be honest, folks. Jones Way is 0 for 20 lifetime with 11 in the money finishes. So do you want to take a short price on an 0 for 20 horse at Keeneland for the first time? This isn't a race to get wildly aggressive with. And so while I have Jones Way as the top choice in here, this is not an overly confident pick. And I think if we take the 17 days of the meet now and you ask me my confidence level in race number 1 each day, it's been off the charts bad. I mean, I've kind of, I tell you the truth when we do these podcasts and when I don't like a race or I don't have a feel for it, and it seems like the race I tell you that the most often has been the first on the card. They just haven't been attractive to me, and I haven't had a lot of success with them. So Jones Way, a tepid pick in here for me. Certainly you could go with Alsana, who's a horse picked on top by some of my cohorts in the handicapper selectors box. Kim, Gabby have Alsana, as does Tom Leach. Scott and I, we're taking the 0 for 20, and we're going to try to get by with Jones Way in here. Luis Saez rides. Saez in a slugfest with Tyler Gaffleone for leading jockey at the meet. It's going to come down to closing day. We'll see which one of those two can come away with the jockey title. Jones Way in Alsana, the 2 top jocks. You got Saez, you got Gaffleone. Probably comes down to those 2. The 7 Avery's one to keep an eye on here. Another one dropping in class. Going turf to dirt from Hawthorne. We'll see how it fits. Not a lot of love for the opening race on the card. And that's kind of why when we go back to the big picture here and talk about race number 2, that's why I say there's price and trust in the early pick 4. Notice I didn't say pick 5 because I don't have a lot of trust in race number 1. And I'm not going to throw a bunch of bullets around to try to hit the pick 5 if I've got a focused opinion on the pick 4. I just, I can't see taking my pick 4 ticket and having to use 3 or 4 horses in the opener and watering it down and making it cost 4 times as much to hit it on a 50-cent ticket per se. And so for me, I'm going to steer away from the pick 5 and focus on the pick 4 on the early part in the card. Now, one of those reasons we said we had price and trust in the early pick 4. One of those reasons is the price horse in this race. And it's number 1, Bayshore Foxes, 15 to 1 in the morning line. This is the non-winners of 2 lifetime claimer in race number 2. And those of you who have followed this podcast, it's one of those rules of thumb I have in handicapping that you can take with you to Churchill next on the Kentucky circuit or wherever you play around the country. In non-winners of 2 lifetime races, these horses all have 1 win and they're looking for their second win. That's how they're eligible to run. Well, who won the best race? If they all won just 1 race, go back in the form and try to find the horse with the best maiden win. Often you'll find a horse who can just outclass the competition in a non-winners of 2 lifetime. Bayshore Foxes won an open maiden special weight race at Oaklawn. A very tough condition there last year in the career debut. That was 8 starts ago, but nobody else on the resume has done anything better since then. Nobody has a win on their resume anywhere close to an Oaklawn maiden special. So that puts me on Bayshore Foxes as first consideration in this race, just because you have the best win on a non-winners of 2 lifetime. Now, does that win and current form add up to a horse who now looks logical in your general handicapping factors for this race? I think so, because Bayshore Foxes showed good speed over this track at 7 furlongs, showed that she could handle the track here at Keeneland last time out. Earlier this meet on October 8th, it was her first start in about 10 months. And then Bayshore Foxes got tired on the back end of 7 furlongs. Now she's got speed from the rails, second start off the layoff, and she's got the best maiden win on the form. Give me Morales aboard for Tom Van Berg. Van Berg's had a really good meet with his horses, winning 3 of his first 8 that he sent out here. Bayshore Foxes, 15 to 1 in the morning line. A great price play early in the card, and Gabby's also on Bayshore Foxes. Tom Leach has got that one second. So are we going to get 15 to 1? No, we're not going to get 15 to 1, but we're still going to get a fair price on this horse. 5, 6, 7, 8 to 1, somewhere in that. It's going to be a juicy price that you want to get into, but not a big long shot player here. This is one where I disagree with the morning line maker. I think it's going to be a shorter price. And given that Gabby's also picking on top and Tom has second, I think there's a little validation of that, but not certainly a favorite type runner. 5, 6, 7 to 1 in here, Bayshore Foxes, to get the early pick 4 started. Like this one a lot. Dallas Volunteer makes a lot of sense, as does Candy Kick. Candy Kick is by Candy Rod Cyrus, who had a really good meet here. Dallas Volunteer gets Luis Saez on the jockey change. A little more aggressive probably early in a race than Colby Hernandez, who had been the rider for this one. So look for Dallas Volunteer to be a little bit more involved early. But I think they got to catch Bayshore Foxes from the rail, and that's how we get the early pick 4 started here. If you want to go 3 deep using Candy Kick and Dallas Volunteer, I won't argue with you. But I think Bayshore Foxes is the play intra race for sure. And this is the heaviest play I want to make in terms of the pick 4. If I'm going to play multiple tickets, I want to have a lot more tickets with the 1 Bayshore Foxes winning this race than those other contenders I mentioned in there, the 4 or the 7. Third race on the program is a 1.16 mile allowance race. And on the dirt, the Churchill horses have absolutely dominated the allowance races this meet. I think of the first 18 dirt races we had in allowance company in this meet, 13 winners came from Churchill Downs last out. This is a situation where you recall Churchill has not had turf racing in some time. They ran a couple one day for the Arlington Million meet in the summer. But since like the end of May, very 1st of June, they canceled turf racing there. So the Churchill dirt horses have been really good at this meet. Turf, maybe not so much. But in the allowance ranks, the Churchill dirt horses have dominated. That's where I think you need to look here in race number 3. So La Davida for trainer Nacho Correas and Vincent Chaminade, combination that scored a couple wins here at the meet. This was a really impressive 3-length winner going a mile at Churchill last time. La Davida is probably the way to pronounce it. I took German. I did not take Spanish. So La Davida is probably the best way to say that one. La Davida is the horse who won by 3 last time, going the 1-turn mile. Now they stretch out to the 1.16 at Keeneland. I love that handicapping angle. The 1-turn milers at Churchill have speed. They've got a little brilliance about them to be able to win around 1 turn. When they stretch out to 2 turns at Keeneland, they are very tough because the 1.16 races at Keeneland, they stop at the 16th pole finish line. So all you got to do is turn for home and be in the mix, and you've got a big shot. Give me La Davida in race number 3 on top. Will Secret, the 2, is a horse you want to consider in there. But Will Secret's kind of forgot how to win lately. After running off 3 straight victories back in March of 2021, has now lost, the last 8 in a row, including a 3rd place finish in the Ashland Stakes here. I think La Davida is a single in this particular spot. I have a lot of respect for Envoutante, also coming in from Churchill in the Locust Grove, but she seems to be a little bit past her best form. And will she get it back here on the class drop? She's got kind of a stop and go last year on the form for her. So I don't have a lot of confidence where Envoutante is. I knew La Davida, though, is coming off a really nice win. I like her in here. I think she's a potential single. Gabby's got her on top as well. Gabby and I in agreement on races 2 and 3. Also, Gabby and I, if I look down here, we're on 4 races in a row. Gabby and I are on agreement on this Saturday card. But La Davida, the horse for me to beat in race number 3, and I think it's a single for the pick 4. We talked about having prices and confidence in this early pick 4 sequence. La Davida, one of those horses we're confident about. Another that we're confident about, and I'll say for the 2nd time at the meet, is Olga Isabel in race number 4. Olga Isabel is picked on top to win by all 5 handicappers. Now, I had Olga Isabel the last time. She's already won at this meet and got disqualified on what I think was a controversial decision by the stewards. Jockey Joel Rosario certainly floated the rival wide on the turn. I don't think it was the difference in the race. And, you can question whether there's contact, not contact. But I didn't like the DQ that day. Olga Isabel was best from the 11 hole. Maybe an overly aggressive ride. But have you seen Joel Rosario this week at Keeneland? He's winning everything in sight. He's riding really well. He's probably not going to make that same mistake again because it's going to get him dazed from the stewards. So Olga Isabel makes the lead, top of the stretch, and Joel says, we're not playing any games this time. We're not floating anybody wide. Comes back and I think wins here at the same condition. 7 furlongs, first level allowance race. Got to like Olga Isabel right in here, right back. Problem is, I liked her last time. She was 9-2, and I thought we had an $11 winner to circle and go cash. Unfortunately, she's not going to be 9-2 in this race. Olga Isabel, again, picked by all the public handicappers on top. And this is one of the reasons we use the handicapper selectors box each night on this show, because now you get to see, look, everybody picks the same horse. Chances are the public is going to follow into that same kind of average too. Brigands is an interesting horse in here, a horse who's, run only once, won by 12 plus and a maiden claimer at Churchill when well bet. That this horse was 3-2 in the debut tells you one of two things. There wasn't much in the race, or the word was out. It's one or the other. Haven't seen anything back from the race, do anything overly impressive to this point, but it's September 28th, so it's only been a month since that race was run. Berganza interesting in here, but unless she runs another race like that, I don't think she beats Olga Isabel. Hyper Sport's a horse that's run well for Ingrid Mason a while back at Oaklawn. In fact, was second in the Purple Martin, was third in the Dixie Belle, and fourth in the Martha Washington against Happy Soul, Secret Oath. Her race last year when Hypersport ran here at Keeneland in the debut, she was second beaten a length in the debut here, sprinting 6.5 furlongs behind Society. If you've seen Society, this year's a 3-year-old, and how well she won the Grade 1 Cotillion a couple weeks ago, about a month ago at Parks. She's one of those horses that are sneaky good for the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Society's a really good one. Hypersport only got beat a length by her last year over this track. She has taken on the best 3-year-old fillies in the country, almost. Society, Secret Oath, Happy Soul. I mean, she's taken on some good ones. Pretty much everybody but Nest is on the resume for Hypersport. We'll see. It hasn't been a great year for Ingrid Mason. She is far down in her percentages of what we expect from her barn to win over the years. Off a long layoff, I don't know what we get out of Hypersport, but there is certainly respect for that runner in there. I don't think they beat Olga Isabel in here, though, and I think it's Olga Isabel as, again, an early pick 4 potential single here. I don't think we need to spend a lot and go into a lot of different combinations. I like Leda Vita. I like Olga Isabel. I think, Bayshore Foxes is a nice price in the first leg, but I think you want to use the 3 of them. So we're 3 by 1 so far in the early pick 4, and that's why it's one of our key plays of the day. Like we said, we had the price horse that we like, Olga Isabel, or Bayshore Foxes in race 2, and now we got a couple really trustworthy top picks in races 3 and 4, I think. So we get to the 5th race trying to cash out this early pick 5. Third race will also start the pick 6. No carryover. The pick 6 was hit today on Friday at Keeneland, so no carryover for the Saturday card. There's 2 horses to me that I think you have to respect here in race number 5, and I think it's only a 2-deep situation. So when we're talking about this early pick 4, 3 by 1 by 2, we're only looking at 6 combinations. That's a $3 pick 4 ticket for 50 cents. So let's say you normally pay $30 on a pick 4. Play the $3 combination 10 times. And if you hit this, you're going to cash it 10 times. That's the way to attack. So I like this on a very focused ticket on Saturday. Blame the Good Times and Disdainful are the 2 for me clear in this race. Blame the Good Times was dominant at Kentucky Downs. And when we talk about how the Churchill horses have done well on the main track and allowance races for the dirt horses, the Churchill runners have been dominant. On the turf, the allowance races have gone to the Kentucky Downs set. That's where they've really made their hay this meet. Blame the Good Times comes from Kentucky Downs off a really sharp win for trainer Brian Lynch. He's a good trainer of these mile and a 16th turf horses. And the pedigree for Blame the Goddess, turf sprint win at Kentucky Downs at 6.5 plays a little bit more than a typical turf sprint at other racetracks will. But this horse is by Blame out of a Harlan's Holiday mare. There's no reason in the world that Blame the Good Times was that good going 6.5. Should be better with the longer race. So I think Blame the Good Times, very solid runner here in race number 5, and probably would be a single for me if not for Disdainful making the U.S. debut in here. Disdainful, my second pick here in race number 5. I've got him 7 and 3. Disdainful goes for trainer Graham Motion off a couple races in Great Britain. First time to the U.S., private purchase for Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners. Everything Graham Motion sends out, you must respect. We caught him again on an $11 winner. His horses are really working well at the Fairhill Training Center before coming here to Keeneland. I would expect Disdainful with Johnny Velasquez from Post 3 to try to work out a really nice trip in here. And Blame the Good Times, the top pick, and Disdainful, the second choice in here. I think this is one you want to just hook these 2 up. It's an exact-the-box situation. Pretty confident just going too deep in here. Blame the Good Times, also the top pick for Gabby in here. Some other love, though. I mean, you've got Our Dream Ride and Oscar Award and Bling picked by my other handicapping partners in the selectors box. They look at the race a little more wide open than I do. I think it's Blame the Good Times, Disdainful, and I'm not going any deeper than that in race number 5. And if this is a race where everybody else is spreading in the pick 5, that's good news for us. When other people go 5, 6 deep and you're only going 2 deep, you're saving money on combinations, and that allows you to bet more combinations of the ones you like instead of spreading out and trying to hope and hit something where you're guaranteed almost all your tickets are losers. Think of this. Anytime you go 5 deep in a pick 4 or a pick 5, automatically 4 out of 5 are losers, right? There's 5 horses on your ticket, only one. Sometimes all 5 are losers in a race when you go 5 deep. But if you're 5 deep, you are guaranteeing already that 80% of your ticket will lose before they ever leave the starting gate for the first leg of that bet. Because 4 out of 5 in your 5 leg are going to lose. And that 5 combination made you spend 5 times the amount on your ticket. So if you're 5 deep in any pick 4 or pick 5, you're automatically walking into it knowing 80% of my ticket is a loser before I ever bet. And that's why I like to talk about playing focus tickets. It's not about being a cheapskate. If you're going to spend $30 on a pick 5 with a bunch of 5 and 6 combinations, and I want to spend $30 on it in 3 combinations, a $3 ticket, I'd rather do that and play it for 10 times than spreading and knowing automatically before they leave the starting gate that 80% of my money is already down the drain before I ever even see the first horse leave the starting gate. So that's why focus tickets are important. It's not about being cheap. You can still spend the same amount of budget, just playing for a higher denomination. So focus your tickets, I think, is a great lesson. And that's what we've got in this early pick 4. And that's why I'm excited about it, because I've got a 6 combination ticket, 3 by 1 by 1 by 2 in the pick 4. 6 combination ticket only cost us $3 for each 50 cents. So that's races 2 through 5. This also starts the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. I think you go 2 deep in the race number 5 for the Turf Pick 3. We blame the good times and disdainful. That's how we'll try to get through it. Let's go to the 6th race in the back half of the card. This is our first stakes race of the afternoon, the Bowman Mill for 2-year-olds sprinting on the main track. It also kicks off the late pick 5 sequence. Look, if you saw Brad Cox today in the 2-year-old stakes races, Philly just absolutely blitzed him. Brad's back here with Quick Hammer, and I think he's got horses lined up for races like this. Quick Hammer comes off a win during the Belmont at Aqueduct meet, going 6 furlongs, drawing off on the back end, and you get Luis Saez battling for that leading jockey title with Tyler Gaffleone in this spot. Gaffleone's going to be on Bourbon Bash, but Bourbon Bash is looking to kind of make up for some poor performances. Bad effort in the Hopeful, bad effort in the Breeders' Futurity. Now trying to face Listed Stakes Company and find a little easier spot. But I don't think it's any easier with Quick Hammer in here. So Bourbon Bash has classy running lines, but I don't know that they're going to pay off in this particular spot. Now, I know Tom and Gabby like Bourbon Bash in here, as does Kim. But I'm going out with a Quick Hammer. I'm the only person on the Brad Cox train, which is kind of hard to believe considering as well as his horses in these kind of situations have run and are expected to run. So for me, it's Quick Hammer, clearly the one to beat. Super Chow coming from Florida, a horse who's been stabled here at stabled at Keeneland for a little while. Also spent some time at Monmouth later this summer. But Jorge Delgado, that barn usually based in Florida earlier part of the year. Plenty of speed with Super Chow. Super Chow might make the front in this spot. Sir Lancelot's got some speed, obviously, but that was synthetic speed. I'm not sure if Sir Lancelot's going to be as fast on the main track. You're going to get some speed from Bourbon Bash on the outside. The Super Chow might be quicker than all of them and might make the front in here. I respect Super Chow. This is the horse who got in front of Damon's Mound and Gulfport in the Saratoga Special. That's not easy to do. Those were 2 really sharp win early 2-year-olds this summer. So if Super Chow made the front in the Saratoga Special, I think he makes the front in this particular race. Super Chow to the front, Quick Hammer to stalk, pounce, and get the victory. So I'm on Quick Hammer in here. I would use the 5 Super Chow as the second choice, and I wouldn't go any deeper than that for me. And maybe I'm tossing out what could potentially be the favorite here in Bourbon Bash with 3 players putting that one on top. Maybe Bourbon Bash is going to take more money than I thought from the public. That's a good thing. Will give us a better price on the ones we like. So race number 6, it's Quick Hammer for me and Super Chow 2 deep. To the 7th race we go next. Maiden Special Weight Company here going 6.5 furlongs. Race number 7 is one of my key plays in here because of a form cycle move. And the horse that we're going to talk about here is Montauk Point. Montauk Point was supposed to be a little bit better than Montauk Point has been, right? This is a half-brother to the champion sprinter Kofefi. They paid a lot of money, $550,000 for this one. And through 7 races, Montauk Point is still a maiden for trainer Shug McGahee. Now, you would expect that predicated to be precocious and be really good right off the bat. McGahee's runners, though, typically are given time to develop and are more slow starters than coming right out of the blocks as stars. So Montauk Point is kind of like one of those horses who just ran okay, was getting a little bit better, but then had to be put away in August and came back in August of 21 then came back in January at Gulfstream and ran decent, and then came back the next time to run the fastest speed figure of his career. The best race on form for Montauk Point from a speed standpoint was his second off the layoff race back in February of this year. Now he comes back second off the layoff after a summer break, was off from May to October, ran a decent race back at Churchill going 6 furlongs. Now we get a little bit more distance to 6.5. And if that second off the layoff is the form cycle that's the best race in the career for Montauk Point, if he does it again, I think we got a chance to score the upset here. And Montauk Point's a nice price, 8-10 to 1 range. I think we're going to get on this runner. So this is one of my key plays of the day. If we can get this price in late in the card, again, we're taking a Brad Cox horse in the 6th race in Stakes Company. We've got some stakes races later where we may or may not fish for a little bit of a price, but I don't think there's a lot of wild prices towards the back end of this card. The chance to get it could be right there in race number 7. So I'm going to try to capitalize on Montauk Point form cycle play, a second off the layoff. Cape Trafalgar's in this race, and a horse that I have chased a couple times. I'll be honest, Cape Trafalgar's let me down. I thought this horse was a dead set winner last time. Got bet to 6-5 and ended up getting beat. Not only beat, but beat 8 in lengths by Call Me Fast. Just a no match second best in that one. 3 races for Cape Trafalgar to this point, and 3 times has found somebody much better. This could be a case again where Cape Trafalgar looks good, is going to get bet hard again, but maybe find somebody just a little bit better once again. But certainly respect for Cape Trafalgar in here. Top pick for Gabby and Kim. Scott's got that one third. Interesting in here, Tom is on an island with Power Seeker. And take a look at Power Seeker. This is a Brad Cox first-timer getting Joel Rosario aboard. And workout tab is the kind you like to see with Power Seeker because the next to last workout for this one on October 14th is the best one. 6th fastest of 60, a gate work here at Keeneland. You want to see the best workout for a horse, the second to last work. It's not the most recent work. It's the most important one. The most recent work is just to keep the horse fit and happy and get him out of the stall a little bit before running. The fitness and the peak is set for that work before the last workout. The next to last work is where you want them at their absolute peak and sharpness, and then you just kind of keep them there and maintain them during that last work. You don't ask them for too much, and then you've got a horse ready to run. Power Seeker certainly fits that, so Tom could be onto something here. And Brad Cox, Joel Rosario, we know what they can do in tandem. Certainly strong connections there. You might want to get a little coverage and go a little deeper in this race. Certainly, I think Montauk Point is the price play in here, intra-race. I think you want to attack this horse anywhere from 6 to 1 and above and get straight money. But if you want to use some of these other contenders, I think you could go 4 or 5 deep in race number 7 when you're looking at the late pick 4 and the late pick 5 sequences. Next up on the big picture, race number 8 on the card, it's the Bryan Station, second leg of the Turf Pick 3. Bryan Station is for 3-year-olds, turf milers in this one. And we've got a capacity field of 12 with 4 also eligibles. This was a popular race at the entry box. 16 of them were dropped into the entry box. 12 could run. We'll see how the scratches shake out for this. But you've got Classic Causeway, winner of the Grade 1 Belmont Derby. You've got Witt, winner of the he won the Grade 3 Bay Shore earlier this year. Last year won the Grade 3 Sanford. He's a stakes placed horse in Grade 1 company in the Hopeful Stakes. This is a good bunch. This race could certainly be passed off as a Grade 2, Grade 3, and nobody would shake a stick at it. Stolen Base won the American Turf on Kentucky Oaks Day or Derby Day at Churchill Downs, a Grade 2 winner there. So plenty of class to look at in this one. Bounikoff from Southern California is a nice horse too. This is a horse who may like it a little bit more here with a little softer ground. With the faster ground out at Del Mar and Santa Anita, this horse showed pretty well. But with that French form prior to that, a little softer ground, ran well at Churchill in the American Turf, went second to Stolen Base. This horse might like the softer going a bit. So Bounikoff certainly one to consider as well. And I don't even have Bounikoff in my top 3. This is how deep this race is. But I do like Witt. Witt is a horse who, since they put this horse on turf in the middle of the summer, the word got out quick that this horse could run on the grass. Big time second in the Hall of Fame at Saratoga, then came back to easily win a listed stakes race, the Better Talk Now at the Spa at the end of the meet. Todd Pletcher's had himself a fantastic season. 3 Grade 1 stakes wins for him on the opening weekend. Pletcher's trying to win the trainer's title here at Keeneland in the fall meet. Looks like it probably comes down to Pletcher and Ward on the final day of the season. So let's see if Todd Pletcher can't rack one up in race number 8 with Witt. I like Witt in here. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, 6 a confidence play. Among the other stakes races, I'm a little more confident, I think, in some of the other picks. But I think Witt's got a big shot in here. And given the depth of this race, just because you're saying, oh, it's Jose Ortiz and Todd Pletcher, they're bound to get bet in here. There are a lot of good options in this race. So they're going to be spread out in the win pool. I think we might get Witt at 3-1, something like that, 7-2, and I'd be happy with that. And this is a good race to attack with the intra-race exotics, right? The exactas, the tries, the supers, full field, good options. You have a horse you like on top. Key Win on top. Spread the umbrella a little bit underneath and see if you can't catch somebody a second or third. A Forte Ventura is one in here for Jonathan Thomas, coming off a good second last out at Kentucky Downs. You certainly could consider that one. Thomas's runners usually fire at a very high percentage. Haven't had quite the meet that they thought they might have, but still a decent showing for Jonathan Thomas's runner to get Johnny V on that one. So Fuerte Ventura, one to consider as well. In terms of a pick 4, pick 5, I think Classic Causeway, Portfolio Company. I mean, there are a couple different options in here. Balnikoff that you would definitely want to get into the mix, but use those same kind of runners underneath in the exactas, tries, and supers with Witt on top. We're going to attack with him in race number 8. That's also part of the Keeneland Turf pick 3, and we're going to put our eggs in the Witt basket there. In race number 5, we've got 2 that we like, the 7 and the 3. And for Keeneland Turf 3 pick 3 purposes, we'll use just Witt here in race number 8 on the $3 combinations. We want to be focused when we're playing $3 combinations. 9th race on the card is Stakes Company here, and this is a confident play for me. I think this is just a great pace play. West Willpower. For the 5 public handicappers, pick West Willpower on top. And I can almost guarantee you we're all saying the same thing. There is no speed at all in the mile and an 8 Fayette Stakes. And this is a race that's played well to speed. And mile and an 8 this time of year, if you've got a little bit of pace about you, you can get to the front. You're not going to have a lot of strong closers in races at a mile and an 8, even at this class level. It's just a long way to go for today's modern American racehorse, and they don't get to run that far that long. I think West Willpower gets to the lead, looks like a lone speed situation, and Joel Rosario, as well as he's riding this week, you give him lone speed from the rail. All the advantages are there. I think Brad Cox wins this race with West Willpower. Folsom's a horse who's won over the track here at Keeneland in the past. He's by Into Mischief, the top sire here at Keeneland over the years on the dirt. The other Brad Cox horse does get Florent Giroux, so maybe you say that's the one they think is stronger, and that could very well be the case. But the pace, rhyming with case, is all in the advantage of West Willpower. And you give me all things equal, like I like this horse a little bit, I like this horse a little bit, I like this horse a little bit. Pace is such a tiebreaker. I mean, it's the ultimate tiebreaker. Does the pace set up for a horse or not? If a horse is going to win a race, a lot of times it's because of the pace. And if a horse is going to lose the race, it's a lot of time because of the pace. Their style matches up with the good flow, or it doesn't match up with the good flow and it's got bad flow and they don't win. So West Willpower, long story short, is lone speed. It's Brad Cox, it's Joel Rosario. It's on the rail. I think they go wire to wire in the Fayette. And for me, I think that's a fairly confident single play. Folsom in there, First Captain. There's some quality horses. First Captain's a horse who's had some shots, some narrow defeats. And when he wins, he doesn't win by much. He hasn't really put people away. So it's 6-5 in the morning line. First Captain to me is underlaid. Now, if you could get First Captain at say 5-2, 3-1, if the price were to go up and you want to make that argument, fine. But at like a 6-5, 7, a kind of 5 kind of price, this is a horse, I think I added it up. The 5 career victories have been like 3.5 lengths for the 5 career victories. He just doesn't put people away when he does win, and he's lost, 3 of his last 4. So I'll take a chance against First Captain. I respect him, but I think the pace advantage for West Willpower puts him in the winner's circle, wire to wire, in race number 9. 10th and final race of the spring meet. We'll wrap up the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. So we've got that one in green for you, and it's a turf sprint. And when we see turf sprints at Keeneland, 2 things we're looking for. We're looking for Wesley Ward, and we're looking for where the horses are drawn in the race. Wesley Ward dominates these turf sprints. I think he's won 4 or 5 already at the meet, including the final race on the card today, where we were able to catch him at a $7 mutual, which wasn't bad at all. But he's got 2 in the final race. Wesley Ward's got a Legal Smile, the 1, and he's got Spicy Marg, the 6. Either one would be a contender to win this race. Spicy Marg, certainly the fastest of the 2 getting out of the starting gate. And that's good for Spicy Marg, but it's bad for Illegal Smile, who draws the rail here and isn't overly quick out of the starting gate. It's going to be interesting if Jose Ortiz can work out the trip on Illegal Smile down on the fence. Now, when we get a full field of 12 like this in a turf sprint race, The 1-2 posts really do not have good stats. Only very few winners from the rail. I think 3 of them in a full field turf sprint at Keeneland, and going back to 2006, there's not many of them. I do think Wesley Ward had 2 of them during this spring meet. Before the spring meet, there was 1 in like 10 years. So it's not a great place to be. I mean, if anybody can do it, Ward can get one to win from the rail. But I'm going to take a chance against Illegal Smile. Spicy Mark's got speed. There's some other speed in the race. I'm going for what I think is going to be a price play, but the morning line maker, Nick Tamaro's got Lemos Kuna at a 9-2 price. Now, this becomes where you have to be price sensitive. I like this horse. I love the post positions 3, 4, and 5 in full field turf sprints. You know that. We had the Ward horse in the power post that paid $7 here today. I love 3, 4, 5 statistically. They have an advantage. The inside horses get pinched out. The outside horses lose ground. 3, 4, 5 is where you want to be in a big field turf sprint at Keeneland. Lemos Kuna does draw really well in that 5-hole. This is a horse who's run twice here at Keeneland and hasn't run bad in either one of the turf sprints. Only got beat a length or 2 each time trying it here. Comes off what looks to be a wake-up effort last time, the best effort in a while at Kentucky Downs. And Eduardo Caramori has horses that come here to Keeneland every once in a while and just run through their skin, and you can't explain it. So I'm hoping that's the case with Lemos Cunha. But honestly, this horse has run twice at Keeneland, once at 35-1 and ran 4th. The other time at 19-1 when beaten a length and 5th in a good race. I got to get a lot more than 9-2 to bet this horse. I mean, you're going to beat Illegal Smile with Wesley Ward. You're going to beat Spicy Marg with Wesley Ward. Jose Ortiz, Johnny Velasquez. You're going to beat 2 Wesley Wards and get $11 for it in a turf sprint. You got to take it to the woodshed even when you cash the ticket. That's just not good value. So I made this pick with the assumption that the morning line is not right, and they were going to be a higher price than 9-2. If Lemos Cunha is 9-2, I'll be happy to be alive in a pick 3, pick 4, pick 5 at the end of the card and try to cash, but I am not betting this horse at 9-2 to win. That's not value going up against 2 very good Wesley Ward contenders. But Lemos Cunha, I think the price will rise. If you can get 8-1 to beat 2 awards, 6-1 maybe, 8-1 for sure. If the price goes up on Lemos Cunha, then you bet intra-race as well. But maybe the hope upon hope here is to get live to this horse in the last race where everybody else just says, well, I'm going too deep. I'm going to use the 2 Wesley Wards and that's it, right? So everybody's alive to those 2 in the pick 4 and pick 5, and you've got an oddball that gets you outside the public there with Lemos Cunha. That could be the best value of all. And so even if the 9-2 price sticks around close and you don't bet this horse to win, hopefully you're alive in the pick 4, pick 5 when you get to the final race on the card. That will wrap up the fall meet, the 17 editions of the Keeneland Look Ahead. We hope you've enjoyed it. We ran a little bit long tonight, so get back to your Friday night, enjoy the family, enjoy your handicapping, take care of everybody out there. I'll be back in a week's time on Thursday night to preview the Breeders' Cup Friday card. We'll do it again, 8:30 Eastern on Thursday night to get set for the Breeders' Cup, and then Friday night we'll hop in 8:30 Eastern again to talk about the Breeders' Cup Saturday. So that's going to be a wrap for the proper dates of the fall meet coming up tomorrow. First race, 1 o'clock at Keeneland. But I'll be back with you 2 more times here before we get to championship day. Have a great night, everybody. Good luck tomorrow at the races.